All right, so Bluey, a lot of Bluey's materials have arrived. This weekend, I hope to install the new Rockford 5-gate speakers, front and back. Have wiring harnesses for those. Oddly enough, it says for Subaru, Suzuki, Isuzu, and all these others, Mazda, Nissan, Hyundai, blah, blah, blah. But these are what were sold for me with these to hook up directly. Stereo hookup. The new stereo, it's a floating screen, no picture I guess to really show what that means, but anyway, sticks out from the dashboard. It's a single DIN but floating screen with Apple CarPlay and Bluetooth and all that. This is the rear view camera so that we can see what's behind us. That's my project for this weekend, I hope. Like I said, new antenna because ours is broken off. And then some camping accessories, which are pop lights that are controlled by a remote. These are just little stick-on kind that you stick on the ceiling, controlled by AA batteries. We'll get some permanent ones later. Got some Go Westy water adapters, 2 females, one for the shore water, one for city fill. Got a water pressure reducer so we don't blow the tank out. Then got a bunch of stuff to hook up solar. Not everything's arrived yet. The battery hadn't arrived and we haven't purchased the solar panels yet. But what I do have is I have the solar charge controller with the remote box so we can read what's charging and everything. Temperature probe to make sure the battery is charging at the right level. Got wire crimps and terminal crimps with a hydraulic crimper for the wire crimps to make sure everything's connected correctly. A bus bar fuse block to run the radio, the lights, the fridge, lots of other control items from in 12 volt. This will be so we can control all of our individual components when we hook up the real lights and things like that. This is a lithium ion battery charger to go under the seat so that we can continue when we're on shore power, can continue to charge the lithium ion battery, which will charge via solar when we're camping in the sun. And when we're running, it'll also charge via alternator. So lots of good projects. Of course, there's Bluey's tag that y'all have seen. That's going to go on too. Got lots to do. So, and still more stuff coming. So we're working on it. All right, we have big jobs today. What I want to try and do is get the new stereo installed and the 4 speakers installed, 2 in the back, 2 in the front. And we got to replace the antenna because that doesn't get us any signal. Yeah, that doesn't work. So, and to replace the antenna, I have to remove the surround and the front headlight. So several things to do today. So yay. Oh, and a rear view camera so that we don't hit any more vehicles. Yeah, long story. Anyway, install's coming up. All right, opening up the components I got to install. I didn't realize that that's a pair for the speakers. So I actually over-ordered these parts so I can send some back. Yay, save money. Probably won't even need the speakerware they provided since I've got the adapters and we should be ready to go in the doors. Reverse camera, that's going to be the trickiest part, I think. Wiring all this through the van. Where it goes is easy. How it gets installed, not so much. The antenna's not complex, just cumbersome. So there's the antenna. Get that installed. Probably one of the second things. I got to remove the old stereo first. New stereo, gonna read. Yeah, I'm actually gonna read installation guides today because this is a lot of work. 2 pieces there. Trim kit. Here's what's great. I didn't realize. GPS antenna for the navigation that's built in, and a speaker, microphone to go with the Bluetooth kit when you're talking on the phone. So that's going to be phenomenal for making calls. Important for a lawyer in her camper van. I got the wiring kit here for, this is going to be speaker and hot. This is going to be all your camera and line in and stuff. Very little of this will get used, which is great because they have all these little plugs on lines you're not using to cover them up. So lots to do here. Let's start digging in. Looks like Bluey had an accident. Anybody who says old Volkswagen vans don't leak oil is a liar. They all do. So we'll put down a tray to catch. That'll work. Okay, so despite being sold as direct fit, the pattern for the screws is not. It's off actually significantly. So I am going to have to cut some of this. And because this leads right into the fabric trim, I don't want to cut that. So I'm going to cut upward. So made a template. And I guess I will cut from the bottom and cut upward and install there. And then I should be in good shape to install the speakers. So yeah, I'm gonna see how this goes. We're a bit lucky in that the newer models, this is again a 91, the newer models have screws to hold the door speakers in. The ones from 85 back, you have to remove the entire door panel, and it's a trim ring that unscrews from the back. So makes this a lot easier to install. So let's see if we can't get at least the fronts installed right now. Okay, first speaker installed. I probably made that a lot harder than it needed to be, but that's in there secure. I'm just gonna test it and make sure that I've got sound coming from it. And then I'm gonna go the same with the other 4, and might film one of them just so somebody sees exactly what I'm having to do to make this happen, because I'm just sort of doing it piecemeal without showing the work. Scraps. I've still got the working original Volkswagen Audi speakers, which I'll put on Marketplace or one of the Vanagon sites to sell, because a lot of people want to keep it OEM, and this is strictly OEM. You know, the cover is mounted to it. Let's talk about a super easy install if somebody wants to replace, and they sounded okay, but we wanted to upgrade and get louder sound, and definitely need to replace the old head unit. So let me test these out.
Starting as low as $199.99.
Sound coming through it.
You didn't
That works.
this. Right now at Staples, you can also get $250 off select computers.
Than the other side, which is what I wanted.
For details.
Wells Fargo lets you know where you stand with your FICO credit score.
This sound.
What if you knew where you stood with everything?
And let's go to the other side with the OEM speaker. It's a little bit more tinny.
Mr. Otis, you're the funniest.
It's good to know where you
And it looks better. So I'm gonna do these installs. Rear speakers are the same but different. They still screw in, but this time into the cabinet. It's wood, so I'm hoping I don't have to cut these. I'm also a little worried about this space right here. Hopefully the new speaker will fit in there. No real issue there. This clearance ought to be fine. I'll find out in a second. Okay, so that's as far as it fits in without cutting. So there's a significant gap, and I'm not going to do that. This is going to look nice, look professional when I'm done. So I'm going to have to use, I think I'm going to get out the, oh God, what do you call it? Some little rotozip or something like that. Okay, so there is a gap. The hole that's been cut for the OEM is not big enough. I'm not going to leave it like this. I am going to get out probably a Dremel and Dremel the circle a little bigger, and then fit these in that way. And then it'll look professional, and I'm going to leave it nice and neat. So maybe get to work on that. Checking the fit of the speaker. If I cut the hole out, you can see the interior there. Cutting it either way, actually I have lots of room, so this is going to be good. That's going to be a nice, neat look and fit, so I can cut these out. Okay, so I've been working out how I'm going to cut these out, and sometimes it's just not good to see how the sausage is made. Dremel is dead, dead, dead. Not like rechargeable, not like going to work some other way. It's dead. My coping saw is duller than anything, and I don't think it would get in there, so jigsaw it is. It's not a big deal. It's a little 3/4 inch piece of plywood, and so I'm gonna cut this out and install some speakers, and it's gonna be great, and that's all there is to it. So yay. All right, turning this off. Don't want to record this. See, it looks fine. That's good. Nice fit, tight in there, and nobody even noticed all the junk that got cut out, which I'll vacuum up momentarily. So yeah, making a little bit of mess. You gotta break some eggs to make some omelets. So we're gonna do it again.
perfect summer. Visit irwinmarine.com to browse a beautiful selection of brand new boats.
They'll work and sound great.
At Irwin Marine Sales.
From the sunny 92.3
About to work on the stereo. All right, so I've diagrammed the wires using the wiring diagram provided by Volkswagen and the Scosche diagram, which is up here. This matches to exactly what's going to be plugged in with the factory harness. Brown is your speaker connections, black is your power and illumination and ground. And you'll notice that appears backwards, that illumination is here versus here, but it plugs in. So we're directly on point to getting this installed. This is going to be awesome. I'm excited. So next I've got to go move the antenna, this busted antenna wire out, and pull the new antenna wire. So that's going to be my next job. The new antenna is on. What you saw me doing was cutting the old antenna wire and using it to feed the new antenna wire into the stereo location. So that pulled through fine. Now I can disconnect that. And this is the OEM one's $100. This is a $20 version. Yeah, it's not a great fit. This part's plastic. And so I was trying the other piece to see if it would fit. These are the original OEM chrome. I'm going to keep these around just in case, but it didn't seem to work with that, not perfectly anyway. So I'm just going to hold on to these just in case. And I may even try it again in just a second. It may be that this nut fits better than that other one, and I can make it tighter, so not sure. But anyway, that's installed, and that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. Holy cow, that came off easy, which is crazy. So anyway, that's done. And so I did try it again. I swapped out these aftermarket pieces for the OEM, and that's on plenty tight. That's fine. And that's the way the fit is supposed to be. So that looks a lot better. There's no plastic that's flaking. That's all metal. That's now nice and tight. Antenna works. And so, yeah, I'll put the front end back on. Now it's just a matter of getting the wiring harness connected to the stereo harnesses so that I can just clip them in. This one came already halfway connected, so I can crimp directly to and then heat shrink these. And I got to make sure that I've got the rear view camera plugged in correctly too. Then I can shove everything back in the dash and get the stereo in. So I'm going to start on this now. So now it's time to install the GPS signal, whatever, I don't know, satellite link. I don't know what those things do. And this is a microphone for Bluetooth. This will just go in the center under the dash. I'm just gonna shove it way back up under there. This one's a little bit trickier. I'm going to try and route it under the dash and then up here so it's on the rear view or sunshade or that, so that when Teresa's speaking, it picks up her voice pretty good. So anyway, that's the plan. I'm going to try that right now. Change plan. Going to route it so it's sitting right here at the top of the cluster, so that she can talk. And I think this will be better for voice because we have no air conditioning. So the windows are off and open, and there's no trim here to hide the wire under. So I'm going to not attach it permanently until Teresa sees it, but I'm going to wire it this way so it's usable. And if she doesn't like this, all I've got to do is bump out to this side and run up. But hopefully this is going to be super easy and a good way to do it. Okay, so simple install. And so the idea would be to mount it, you know, maybe over here. There's a little piece to mount it with. And so it'd be right here or right here in the center and just one wire running back. Or I could just mount it right here, a little further back, and you'd almost hide the wire. So, but again, I'm going to leave it loose until Teresa sees it. My gosh, I think it's time to actually put the radio in. Because the rear view camera I'll install next. I'll put all the wiring for it. I've already run it to in here because it's going to go outside and under panels down here and out through back. Yeah, coat hanger method for wiring run, like always. So I'm gonna go get the radio and try it out, which still takes a lot more work. The stereo body is in. Now time to go get the floating screen and mount it in place. Hopefully like right about there, tilted at the driver. So I'm gonna go get that. Okay, so I've run into a problem. Radio wouldn't turn on, and I've always known before you finish the install, check it, because it does happen. And here's what I'm saying. All right, so I discovered a problem. The factory harness only has the illumination, the 12-volt battery, and the ground. The radio requires 12-volt ignition and 12-volt constant. So I'm getting no power from this because it's not plugged into anything. And so the stereo won't turn on. So I've got to find a jumper and figure out how to jump this. I was almost done with the install, testing it out. It wouldn't turn on, and I couldn't for the life of me figure it out. So I got my multimeter out, was testing all the connections, and couldn't get anything through 12-volt ignition. And of course I can't. There's nothing plugged into this. So I got to figure that out. So I'm going to do some research right now and yeah, figure that out. All right. Okay, so what I've decided to do is I am going to, this is the ignition accessory that is not connected to anything. So I've pulled it in, it's pin number 3, pulled it out of the panel. I'm going to cut it and I'm going to splice it into my yellow battery constant so that I'm getting power, and that is going to power this unit. I'm almost positive. So I feel really good about this, and this is fine. It's just, it only means that I've got to be careful to turn off the stereo, and it's going to draw like 0.28, milliwatts every day or so, and so you got to put a battery tender on it, and I plan on doing that anyway. It's wired for a battery tender right there, and I've got a battery tender, so I will put that on it when we're not using it. Easy peasy. So I'm going to make this change and see if I'm right. And I was right. Just had to jump those wires. So we are operating now and working great. And I'm going to finish this install and show you what it looks like when I'm done. And it has just turned off the sound because I'm recording on the same phone wirelessly. So that's awesome. It is doing exactly what it should do. So testing the music out. I've got some non-responsiveness on the buttons. Like buttons don't press as easily as I'd expect them to. That did fine. It's a little washed out. I want to change that and make sure that it's actually, GPS seems to be working. It's locating us. First time it's turned on GPS, so it's orienting, and it found us. So there we are. Yeah, but let's see if that works. See, like that didn't yeah. So I need to work on responsiveness. That color's a little better now. Maybe it's learning. I don't know. So anyway, yeah. Go back to Pandora. Nope, not going to do it. But anyway, installed, works. I'm happy. All the speakers work. I'm happy. Yeah, so good install. Just took a little bit extra time. Long day. Please imagine this said in the voice of Morgan Freeman. In fact, it was not a good install, and he would soon learn that he effed up. Today's episode of Bluey is called Fixing the Radio Screw Up. All right, so this is the culprit right here. Wiring the red and yellow together is what caused my problems. I didn't think it would, honestly. But that's my fault for assuming that. So I have got to now get my constant power, which is the not that one, this one, the battery. This one will go to the red, and this ignition AC accessory 12 volt will go to the black wire under here, which I'll trace in a moment. But that's why I've removed this cover, is so I can splice into that with a T-tap, which isn't perfect, but is a really good way, knowing I'm going to change this out soon. Because when we go to 12 volt accessory with the auxiliary battery in the back, I want this radio to run full time off of that battery in the back, not just when the car is running. So anyway, I'll get this mounted now, or at least change these wires out. I'm gonna have to do some splicing, may have to borrow a wire, because I had already borrowed wiring here, had cut the yellow way back already from my first time. I made a mistake with this, but I've got some extra wires, so this is fine. It's not a big deal, and it'll be traceable. So let me get to work on that. There we go. I like it. Okay, that was easy enough. And I'm going to, let's see, unscrew. Where are you, number 2? It's hard to do this, even though I've got great light in the garage. Do not have great light out here. There's second screw. I think doesn't look like it. I'm gonna keep looking, and I'll clean that inside. I'm gonna take all these parts inside. All right, I'm gonna find this screw. Back in a minute. So the wire we're looking for is a solid black wire under here. I think it is in this first loom. Wow, okay. That light is a bit bright for the camera, but not for my eyes because it's directly in them. So All right, let's see. Nope, don't like that either. I'm gonna have to search using this light, but I can't do it with one hand, so I'm gonna turn you off and figure this out. All right, so using the multimeter, this wire with the van off right now has constant power. So I just checked it, got 12.4 volts here. That is where my yellow wire needs to go, because it says it is supposed to go to, looking back down here, battery, which is constant. Well, that is what it says, battery. So I'm going to now connect the yellow, this yellow, to the red, so that it is constant power, and then connect the other down underneath the steering wheel to the ignition. All right, so I've removed the yellow pin from the connector. I want to keep the yellow as a reminder, so I think I'm going to cut back this pink wire that I had added way back to this blue connector, and then snip these off here. I've got some of that left, that's fine. And then I'll add some in between. I bought some new red wire, so I'm going to take that in the kitchen and I'll work on that. Doing that now. All right, so I created a new yellow pin connector and stripped it back with the old crimped wire. This is still the pink wire that was under here, just covered it with yellow coating, shrink wrap, so that it's clearly the yellow wire, because I think it's important to remember down the road what I was doing. So I'm just going to connect it back into here where it belongs. It was in the second space here, so I don't think I can do this with one hand. So I'll cut you off. I'm going to start connecting some wires here. All right, forgive the light pouring in. It's very poor in here, but okay, so I think I've hooked everything back up correctly. One thing we do have is we don't have the blinking screen anymore, and it's not coming on like this, but it should, got it in part, if I turn the car on, be able to turn on. Let's see if this cranks. Okay. Oh, came on. Now let's see. Okay, so that's coming on. That's powered on. Let's see if I can turn it off. That mutes the sound. Okay, so stereo works. And it went off when I turned the ignition off. It hooked up to Bluetooth because it cranked up. So I'm doing great here. Okay, awesome. I'm going to reinstall this, get everything buttoned up. I need to decide where I'm running that. I think I'm going to bring that to the other side. So let me do that while I've got everything wired out. I'm pointing at the wires for the car backup camera, because I'm going to run them to the other side rather than this side. And I think my easiest way to do that is going to be to bring them back through the dash again. So let me button everything back up. So with that, we finally fixed our wiring error, which drained the battery. So the radio does work now. Upon startup and cutting off the engine, it stops. Don't have it hooked up for camping use yet, but that's to come. Got an additional wire up here if you want to use it via plugged in, although it also does Bluetooth, Apple Carplay. We have the small microphone here, and actually it does pretty good for making calls. We have not hooked up the rear view camera. The wires are over here in the glove box. I've got to run those under the car to the rear, but that's going to come at a later date. Hope this was helpful to somebody, anybody.